All right, hey, welcome to Win the Day podcast. My name is Cyrus Jaffery. I've got my boys here, Benito and Jason. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
All
What's
right, all
up?
right. Hey, we're gonna get rocking and rolling. We'll get to right away. I was not at the One City World Tour, and I blame that on the three kids that I have that are 6 and under. And I will go ahead and I want to give you guys the opportunity, fellas. I want to maybe give me one or two things. We'll go with you, Benito, first, man. Like what? Give me one or two things that you learned from the conference and how it could help other producers.
Yeah. You know what? I had a great time. It was my second time attending. I went to the first one last year in Denver, which was really cool. It was at the Broncos Stadium. I'm a big Broncos guy, so it was cool to hang out back in the suites. But the one thing that I think I took away from it more so than anything else is the relationships that you can create outside of the speakers. The speakers were great. Don't get me wrong, but the relationships, I mean, how many times do you get to sit across in a circle in a powwow with Jason Kilgo and Billy, and
Wagner.
and Danielle Smink and all of those guys, and be able to talk about our processes or what issues we're having, and those are high level agencies. Those aren't newer agents or people that are just starting. Those are like who
Right.
you come into this trying to replicate and trying to reach. And as a newer agent, I've only been in the independent game for 3 years now, and we just hit $5 million in production. All right, how do I get to writing $1 million a month? You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's kind of the goal and our North Star. And so being able to share lunch with those guys and ask real questions. And I hit a couple of them up after the conference and said, hey, we're redoing our client journey from start to finish. How, is it all right if I send that to you, our whiteboard, once we're done, just to get your opinion on it and just to walk you through it? I mean, we met some awesome people, really had a good time, and I encourage you. I think you can get stuck in the conference circuit and go to 10 a year, and you're going to hear the same information most of the time. But I really would encourage you, even as a new startup agency, get to one a year. I think it's a good kick in the pants, get moving, especially at the beginning of the year. And just get your mind right and get your mind thinking of what's possible, because I think so often you kind of put your nose on the grindstone, and it's easy to get caught up in how do I make this sale this week, instead of how do I build this agency to take over the country. Those are
Mm.
two different mindsets and two different processes, and I think going to one of these conferences at least one a year will help keep you moving in the right direction.
Love that, man. Love that. State Farm, man, did a really good job of that when I was on the captive channel, man. Like we always got together. We locally got together all the time. And then we nationally got together all the time with your top 100 agents all the time. And they did a really good job. That's what I missed the most when I left. So this kind of gives you an opportunity to build like a brotherhood almost, or a sisterhood, or whatever that is, or friendship. Because, dude, somebody's already doing it. You don't need to create your own thing. They will share gladly.
That's
Um,
it. That's it.
Mr.
Yep.
Kilgo.
I got to say, appreciate Bradley Flowers and Scott Howe. They put on an awesome conference. I just think it was great that it was just intimate. There's only about 150, 200 agents there. New speakers lineups that I've never even heard from before. Even had a farmer's agent up there speaking. It was awesome. Troy Korsgaard was fire. He did a great job. And one of the things he talked about that I really took away was the fact that we need to focus on the extras.
Mm.
It's the little things that can make a big difference, especially someone coming to your agency for the first time. So for all the producers out there, when you're concentrating on hitting your premium goal or your policy count goal or how your close percentage is, all that's important, yes. But one of the things that Troy said he was doing is like, hey, when you close business, do you just hand them a file or hand them their deck page, hand them their ID cards and say thank you? And, maybe you stand up from the back of your desk and shake their hand and then you see them out the door. Or maybe you give them a quick goodbye on the phone, like, hey, welcome to the family, welcome to such and such agency. what Troy was saying is, hey, if they're face to face, go the extra mile and walk them to their car. Open the
Mm.
door for them. Let them know, hey, we value you. You are a VIP here. You are
Mm.
a priority. You are the celebrity. You are the hero. We're going to go that extra step and do something like that. And what's really crazy about this is not, rocket science, right? This is not
Right.
anything that is like, oh my gosh, we gotta figure out how we're going to do it. It is so easy. It's so
Mm-hmm.
simple. It's so easy. Everyone can do it, but
Right.
yet very few are. But the people that are doing it, like Benito said, those are your $1 million, premium writers a month.
Right.
That's what they're doing. They're doing the extras. They've solved the problem. Everybody knows how to, write business. They've solved to go that extra step, and that's also for referral partners as well, right?
Right.
You can go that extra step. That's why that person works with them, not because of your carriers, not because of your
Right.
rates. Everyone's got that, right? So I really thought it was great to do that. And like Benito, I always, I love the speakers. One of the things for agency owners, I know we're here for producers, but agency owners is know your numbers.
Mm.
And I get caught up in that, and for producers as well, right? I mean, you got to know
Right.
your numbers. But I get lost
Mm-hmm.
in the day to day and concentrate on sales, right? Because I'm a
Right.
salesperson by nature. I'm focused on sales. That you
Mm-hmm.
don't look at the business numbers. What do you know your EBITDA? Do you know, what your the loss ratio is? Do you know, what your retention is? Do you know all those numbers? Because that is what's going to drive success as you focus on that, right? You've got to be able to move the needle.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Oh.
conference was great. Chris Paradiso was there.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Song, got to meet Daniel Song, was there. Gosh, he's
Nice.
amazing. Just some real heavy hitters. And if you don't, if anything, you were probably scared to death to get your retention up after Scott Howe's presentation. I mean, he was like a drill sergeant on you, slamming that back door to make sure you could retain everybody you write. So that was great stuff. But just a great conference. But it's the extras. That's what I mainly
Um,
took from it. Is that when you go to these conferences, you always hear kind of the things you already know. Really, it's reminders, right? It's
mm-hmm.
the things you should know, or that you just, oh, maybe I forgot about it a little bit, but I knew that. All right, I'm going to go back and I'm going to implement this.
Uh-huh.
Which is, Benito, you nailed it. I mean, we're doing the same thing. The client journey, we're redoing the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, a little plug: next week's podcast, or I want to make sure it's next week's podcast with
Yep.
Louis Leal.
Yep.
He, as far as I'm concerned, he's the king of automation.
Really cool.
He's got some good stuff, and his client journey is awesome.
Oh, cool. Maybe he'll
So
share it with us a little bit on the podcast or
I hope
something.
so, because he's
Cool.
incredible.
That is awesome, man. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great work, man. I'm sad I missed it, man. But I know I saw pictures. I'm friends with a lot of those guys and a lot of you guys, and I saw a lot of good stuff. So definitely check it out, man. I want one thing I want to go to real quick, Jason, is right now it's a tough market in the insurance industry. It's a really tough market in the mortgage and real estate industry. And us three right here, and a lot of producers that are watching this are getting those referrals from those real estate agents and mortgage officers and financial advisors or whatnot. That extra mile, do that extra mile, go that extra mile with those people as well. It's so funny, man, how many times I run into a real estate agent and then like 2 days later I get a referral. It's like if you're not in front of them, if you're not doing something special for them, or like you said, dude, open the door, go to lunch, take them to golf, even comment on their Facebook of their kids' birthday or whatever, right? Handwritten note, whatever extra things you're doing, because dude, it's a tough market and every insurance agent is learning all these things and your competition is getting stronger, right? Other producers are getting stronger. So what are you doing that's different? If you are in the market of real estate and mortgage and financial guys to send you business, they only got 2 or 3, where before they were doing 6 or 7 a month. And other insurance agents are coming into play. So I think it's gonna, and then embedded insurance, with that getting really big and things are funneling through embedded insurance, like, are there going to be any left for some of us that are looking for those real estate agents and mortgage? It's going to get tough, I think.
Oh, it's going to be, it's already tight. I
Yeah.
tell you what, I had a serious talk with one of my producers about an hour ago. And one of the things we were talking about is, hey, look, your success from last year doesn't mean anything right now.
Zero.
You're starting over, and the reason why is because a lot of that was overflow. So if that referral partner was sending so much business to one company, not us, and they couldn't handle it, then they overflowed over to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was our opportunity to build that relationship and take that relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're finding out right now we're completely doubling down on it all. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, a lot of people are saying, okay, that market is not there. Let's go back to internet leads. Let's go to mailings.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to cold calls. Let's go to something else, right? Door knocking. We are doubling down.
Mm-hmm.
We've decided and made a commitment to double down, and we've upped our touches. We've upped our creative introduction. So I've shared this before, but we found this like um, picture frame kind of box, we put a profile pic of them and their family or their pets in that frame box that sits on their desk. We don't put any Kilgo logo on it. We don't do anything with Kilgo. We just
Mm-hmm.
do it for them, right? But then on the message, we say, hey, we saw this, we thought of you. We should be working together. It'd be great to grab coffee with you sometime. We want to be a partner. We want to be a teammate with you and see if this is something that can work out. So something along those lines, just
Yeah.
introducing ourselves. But we've gotten so many calls off of that because no one's given them anything.
Mm-hmm.
All these insurance agents are calling them and blowing up their
Mm-hmm.
phones and blowing up their emails, but no one sent them anything. No one cares. They just want the business. We're showing them that we care first.
Mm.
And it's a
Love
little bit
that.
of an expense, but look, I don't know, whatever it is, 20, $30, right? You send that out, you meet them for coffee, you have a cup of coffee, you talk about the things that matter. We talk about them. We don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about business. We talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. Benito, I don't know. You're the king of this too, man. I was not surprised. That's not the word I'm looking for. I was just excited and admired to hear you talk about some of the things that you're doing with your referral partners. I mean, you have a real good grip on it. Some of the things that you said, I took back, and I'm going to start doing as well. I mean, you're doing a heck of a job where you're at as well with that.
Yeah, yeah. So, for me, I went in kind of a different direction in that we are trying to find ways to do it without without spending money, basically. As a newer agency, right? We bootstrapped this thing and we
Mm.
kind of duct taped it all together. It's toothpicks and bubble gum at times, but now we're getting into our 30-year renewals. Things are a little bit better. But one of the things that worked for me really well that we never really went away from was reviews, whether that's Facebook reviews or Google reviews. Because I mean, I'll tell you what, we've made a very diligent effort into building our brand online.
Mm.
From SIG's agency perspective, we have over 200 five-star reviews. And that was a big push for us to start. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times people have called and been like, hey, I saw you guys on Google, and saw you having so many five-star reviews. Can you give me a quote? And some of that
Mm-hmm.
business is good, some of it isn't. But man, I love at bats. That's my big thing is,
Mm-hmm.
we try and up our at bats every single year. And so, yeah, we go out and basically, if we can find a Google review or a Google page for a loan officer or for a branch, we try and leave a five-star review, especially after we've worked with them.
Mm.
So say we have a closing, we have a relationship with the real estate agent, they happen to use this loan officer, and then we're the insurance agent on it. What happens is at closing, one, we try and send out a text or an email just congratulating the loan officer on closing,
Mm.
right? Because that's never happening.
Yeah.
So many times they're getting the Facebook message
Mm-hmm.
on, with the realtor and the title person, the big key. Everybody's seen it. But how many times is your insurance agent included in that picture or included in that list of people
Mm-hmm.
getting thank yous? Not very many, right? We're the thankless guys. But so what we did is like we send out an email to the loan officer saying, hey, just want to say congratulations on the closing. Your office was a pleasure to work with. We appreciate you guys. Let me know if we can be of service in the future. And
Wow.
that's really helped. And then from there, we go and we leave them a Google review saying, hey, we worked with these guys on a transaction. They were awesome. The client was very happy. There was great communication backwards and forwards. That's been one of the biggest icebreakers for us.
I'm out.
That's not the same.
So you're giving a Google review to the real estate agent, to the brokerage?
To the
Oh,
brokerage, to the real estate agent, to the
smart.
loan officer, to really
Smart.
anybody that we can find.
Very.
Because that
Yep.
is so unique. Nobody else is doing that.
Yep.
And that's what they're wanting, right? Because when you type in, insurance agent in Albuquerque, especially now with how Google My Business has changed, on the map, that's where it all is. And it shows the reviews, the 5-star reviews directly on there. And so when we have 200 and then the shop down the street has, 8, probably all from their, friends and family, that's a big value add for us. And so we try to replicate that for other people in the industry.
Wow.
Yeah. So
dude,
that's one thing that's really
I've
hard.
never heard of that. It's brilliant. Never heard of it. It's amazing.
It's been, it just hit me in the shower one day, a couple years ago. Actually,
Good.
I was still at Farmers when I started doing it. And
Good for you.
And on Facebook reviews, that was where it started. And then it's kind of transitioned into Google reviews now.
Very cool.
Man, that's a moneymaker right there.
Yeah. So producer can easily do that. Anybody that sends you a referral from a real estate, mortgage, financial advisor, man, just afterwards when they're done, go to their page and say, hey, worked with one of their clients, man. What an amazing organization to work with. Like, no, cool. I mean, they would appreciate it honestly more than something else that you've done, or even like a coffee sometimes, because it's out of the blue,
Right.
It's just kind of hitting them like, boom, okay, dude, that's cool.
When you jump into this industry, right? A lot of the agents that the previous way of doing business was the $50 gift card or the $100 spiff. And that's, right. When I was at Farmers, I remember specifically there was, an agent that's been around for a long time, and that was his MO. I mean, and as a Farmers agent, you ain't making much money on it. So, they're basically, he was going backwards every time. He was paying his producer's commission. He was paying the loan officer $100 a transaction. And here in New Mexico, our average policy is $600, $700.
Right.
So you got to write a lot. And and I was like, I can't do that. I can't compete with that. And number two is, the minute I start sending somebody a $50 gift card, there's going to be some other guy that's going to bring a $75 gift card, and I'm out the game.
Value.
And so really, really focused on trying to be different and unique value propositions. And so that's where the reviews started and came from, and it's worked.
That's cool, man. I'm literally going into my new process. we send an email to the seller side, we find the real estate agent who sold the property, and we find the real estate agent that sold the property. We send both of those real estate agents an email that basically says, hey, congratulations on the closed transaction. We worked on the insurance piece. We just want to let you know that it's because of people like you that's making us number one in the market for homeowners insurance. So we certainly appreciate your partnership, even though they're like, who are you? I've never worked with you. But it's like, we're just congratulating you on closing the deal. Good job. And after a while, there's so many real estate agents and mortgage officers from both ends are basically getting the same message from us. They're like, dang, these guys are number one, man. I got to start working with these guys in the market, just kind of getting some attraction from there. So, dude, that's cool. That's good stuff. So, the only other one I would add for the producers, I would say, is go figure out every month, at the end of the month, I get a list of our top people that have sent us the most leads. And then those top guys that have sent us a lead. And it depends on how many leads they send to whatever. We just get a nonprofit that we just pay $10 per lead to a nonprofit of their choice. Kind of giving back to the community or whatnot. So that's another thing that we do for top 10 of our referral partners. If they send us 3 leads, we send $30 to their nonprofit of choice, which kind of helps the mission and kind of helps us and brings us in place. So three different ways of doing it, man. Three different ways of making a difference. So today, one more topic we wanted to touch base on would be data, right? I know Benito wanted to share a little bit about his thoughts on data today. Data is the new gold, if you think about it, right? There's some of those buyouts last year that happened in the insurance world. I can almost guarantee you a lot of that was because of all the data that agency accrued for the last time. So now there are some agencies that did an amazing job of keeping data. There are some agencies that did not. So this is the time. Like Benito said, market has calmed down. Jason said, it's a tough market, man. So this is your time to go sit down. Is your process the efficient process for you to dominate when the time comes, when the market is back on and ready to go? And if not, what can you do? And first of all, what can you do with your data, man? How can you make sure you have more data? Because like I said, data is gold. So yeah, I want to get you guys perspective on this, man. Like, what are you guys doing? Maybe after this conference, you guys came back and you said, oh, we're changing things. Are you changing anything on data? Are you getting more stuff from the clients or no?
Yeah, yeah. So not necessarily more stuff, just making sure our process, we're a sales organization, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that means our leads are, on the back of napkins. I can't tell you how many times, I've gotten a name and a number, and it's, on my kids' homework, and it is what it is. And I was probably one of the worst within my agency of putting that lead into a CRM system, making sure that we have all the data that we need, that we can quote them in the future if we don't close it right now. But right now, with the market the way that it is, there is so much opportunity that will be lost if you don't have this process down pat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? For the first time, we're not crushing a State Farm right now. We're competitive. So, we're winning. We're winning 60-65% of the time, but it's not the 80 or 90% that we were before. And so when we're seeing these people that we're quoting, there's just more quotes not closed right now than what we've seen in the past.
Agreed.
And so one thing that, like, we have three things that my agency is really, really focusing on this year. And that's cleaning up our data, process automation,
Mm-hmm.
and outbound marketing. And
Yeah.
outbound marketing, not so much as like cold calling or any of that stuff, but revisiting quotes not closed,
Mm.
revisiting, trying to cross sell agents or, prospects that we have, monoline stuff from. I know that there's a lot of insurance purists that say, well, I don't want the business if we're not getting the full policy, the home, the
Mm-hmm.
auto, the umbrella, the whole deal. And I understand that thought process. But that thought process also is getting, or that pool of people that are willing to hand it all over day one right now is shrinking rapidly.
Yeah.
Um, it's just not. It's in my perspective, and I'm the new kid on the block. But in my perspective, I think that mentality is going to slow growth right now,
Mm.
especially with the way that Safeco, who is one of our biggest, bundled companies, they're not pulling out of the auto market by any stretch, but they're really pulling back on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, does that mean that I turn that prospect away? It's not their fault. It's not their fault that Safeco is changing their numbers or their algorithms or whatever. And so for me, it's more trying to figure out a way so that when we go back 6 months from now, we're retouching them. We're
Mm-hmm.
and as the real estate market slows, here's your opportunity to make sure that your sales don't fall off from
Mm.
referrals right now. And so that's what I've been preaching to, my producers right now is, just because we're not getting 15 leads a day like we were, that doesn't mean our sales can slow down. The bills
Yep.
haven't changed, and so we're very focused on making sure that we're cleaning up our data, making sure that we're going back and revisiting clients that we might not have got the whole bundle the first time around, going back to quotes not closed. And if you don't have, if it's on the, if your lead is on the back of your kid's homework, the reality is that's gone. If you don't close that day, that's gone. And you're
Yep.
never, you can say you're going to. I've said I was going to for 6 years of being in insurance, and I can tell you that very, very, very few times has there been a time where I can find that lead again and actually
Yep.
follow up with them. And if we didn't close it day one. So I would just say make sure that you guys build out your processes around the long game.
Yep.
My agency is going to be here for the next 15, 20 years. And that means people that we've quoted 2 years ago, we're going to have 15 or 20 at bats on those people
Yep.
because we're going to be able to contact them again and try and get their insurance again. And I think right now my producers are starting to see the fruits of that, of things that people told us to take a hike 6 months ago, and now they've taken another price increase,
Mm-hmm.
and they're coming around like, hey, that wasn't that bad now, like let's talk. And we're starting to see the fruits of that labor and the fruits of keeping that information as clean as possible. And so I would just really encourage you to make sure that you're using your CRM and your processes and sticking with it, because if you don't, there's going to be somebody that is. And I can't tell you how many cold emails are going out right now from partnerships with loan servicing companies. I'm seeing that a lot. We're seeing the car dealerships partner with insurance agencies, and
Mm-hmm.
they're hitting their database of people that have bought cars from them. So if
Right.
you're not actively going after people that you didn't close, somebody else is. And
100%.
man, I'll tell you what, that business is there
We
for the
used to
taking right now.
X-date 11 months out. That was like our
Yep.
thing. 11 months out, we'll X-date. We put automation behind it. We'll touch you a couple of times within that year. And then that 11th month, hey, we're going to take another swing. Now we've switched that over to where it's like 3 or 4 months down the line. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to reach out to you again.
Yeah.
So we've moved that. And
why is that? I'm just curious.
yeah, because the rates are changing, things are happening,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's, we used to, you can X-date it obviously based on, tickets, accidents, things like that falling off and, at renewals. But, we just picked up another carrier and they're saying they will only do 6-month policies because they think the market is going to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, all these carriers that are doing 12-month terms
Yeah.
are going to back up and go 6-month. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that doesn't really benefit the client. They were like, well, true, to a degree, because if things fall off, now it's quicker that they can get a better rate.
Yeah.
Right. But the carriers, they're saying they have to hold that that policy with the wrong premium, with the wrong rate for the right risk, right? They've got to hold it longer, and it's usually not just for that term. It's usually
Mm-hmm.
for the second or third term, because by the time you file it, by the time it goes through, by the time all those things happen, now they've got, this customer has benefited by having the rate for the last 2 years. Now they're trying to change it. Now they leave. They just lost money.
Mm-hmm.
You follow? Like
Interesting.
it's not quick enough.
Absolutely.
So we're doing it because we typically have a high close rate. I mean, we really focus on training and making sure everyone is doing the right things on the sales call to close. We're
Yep.
not 100%. We never will be. We're never going to
Sure.
even be over 90, right? Like
Yep.
it's not going to happen. But the ones that we do miss, usually it is something with some kind of miscommunication.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rate. You'll never be able to sell me on that it's rate.
Mm-hmm.
There are rate shoppers, and we're not going to always win. But the real reason why they didn't go with us is because they don't understand what they were getting.
Correct. Correct.
So we moved it up to get more quotes, to go faster and get another shot at it before they forget about us. And we just call them out of the blue in a year and say, hey, remember us? We're wanting to get your business back. So that, and I think it's very important that producers right now really focus on bundling, focus on the cross sell. I don't understand people. I don't know where it came from, where people think that bundling is a bad thing. I don't get it. Like it's on every commercial,
right?
Every carrier is preaching it, but yet there's some people. I think it's one of those things where your parents tell you no, and then all of a sudden now you want to do it.
Right.
Right. It's like so many people have said, hey, bundle. And it's just these people that have hard, thick skulls that are saying, "Oh no, I'm going to keep this separate and that separate." It makes no sense to me. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense, and it's a benefit all the way around.
Yeah.
There's no losses in it, right? There's nobody loses. So I don't get that,
100%.
but that's one thing to focus on is to making sure that when you sell it, and that's why we lead with the umbrella.
Yeah.
Because if you can lead with the umbrella, you're going to get the auto and home. And
100%.
that's just how we do it.
Dude, you do a really, really good job of that on the umbrella side. I would say on the data thing, when we did the research a couple of years ago, because we were trying to put our 10-year plan together, every email address, phone number, name, phone number, email address, and an address is worth $36 a month. Is
Wow.
what the value of a legit phone number, email, all that stuff, right? The four pieces of information that you need is $36 a month. So in a year, right? 36 times 12, whatever, 400 and some dollars or whatever that is one address is what it's basically the value of it is in the long run. So if you don't figure that out, right, of all the people that you can close, there's other ways to make money on those people long term. Control your data, make sure you own your data. There are some CRM systems, from what I was told, that sometimes you don't own your data, like they own your data. So be careful on making sure that, hey, that's why you're independent, man. You want to own your data, because data is honestly where you're going to get the X's a little bit higher when the time comes when you're ready to sell. Have as much data as possible. So yeah, that's I think we are getting closer to time, fellas. I wanted to make sure we keep this pretty close to that 35 minutes. So any last things do you guys want to say before we kind of get you guys out of here? That was a great conversation, by the way.
No, I mean, I think the one thing I just want to say is like, hey, this is a year where you better, have some thick skin and be ready to make some, make some grind time happen, because it's the way the market is right now. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. So I think as a producer and as an agency owner, it's time to put where this last 2 years was probably pretty easy for the
Yep.
most part. This year's going to be kind of the separator. So, as they always say, every real estate agent, you'll hear them say in the fourth quarter, it's a separation season. This is going to be a separation
Yep.
year in the insurance industry, I believe. So I'm excited, and, we'll see you guys on the other side of it.
Yeah,
Kilgo, what do you got?
I think producers, you got to realize that I was told, there's a statistics page on sales, but it's like 100 phone calls or, you know, 10 quotes or, two sales.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the math automatically works out, right? If you do the
Mm-hmm.
activities, the math works out. And
Yep.
right now, I told that to a producer and they almost fell over in their chair. There were like 100 calls. Like, there's no way. I'm like, oh no. If you put in the work,
Yep.
that's what it takes. That's what it used to
Mm-hmm.
take. I mean, I don't
Yep.
know if you guys remember, but people used to pick up the phone book, right? And just
Yep.
dial for dollars, right? So
Yep.
you've got to get gritty, right?
Yep.
You've got to do the work. And right now it's not just going to be handed to you and say, hey, sell this. You're going to have to put
Absolutely.
in some work. So, you're going to have to make the calls. You got to do the
That's
activity.
got to do the activity, man. Tough market. Carriers are struggling, as some insurance agents are struggling, but this is where the strong survive, man. This is where I'm super excited for this year, man, because honestly, some people that are not in the right reasons in this industry are probably going to be gone, which is good, man, because
Right.
I've got 12 insurance agents across the street here, and like they're just sitting in their chair, just collecting their checks for the last, 5 years. And we just need our industry to be at a better level, man. And for those people that are leaving, good for them. They've done a great job, but I think it's time for all of us to take over. So, hey, producers, agents, go take over, man. Go make a difference. So thank you guys for being on.